रहेगा वो दिया जाएगा। फिर प्रेजेंटेशन जो आज के हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन हैं वो अपना एक प्रेजेंटेशन देंगे, फॉलोड बाय क्वेश्चन आंसर राउंड, और उसके बाद एक आईकैन का थीम सॉन्ग है वो प्ले किया जाएगा, और उसके बाद वोट ऑफ थैंक्स, फिर वंदे मातरम के साथ हम कार्यक्रम का समापन करेंगे। मैं प्रबोधिनी के मेंटेनेंस एंड सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट के हेड आईकैन कोर टीम के मेंबर श्री उमेश मोरे जी से आग्रह करूंगा कि वह आज के रिसोर्स पर्सन का स्वागत करें और उनका एक परिचय हम सभी के सामने रखें। श्री उमेश मोरे जी।
आप सभी को मेरा नमस्ते। आत्मनिर्भर भारत के स्कीम को उनके एक्चुअल बेनिफिशियरी तक पहुंचाने के लिए देश भर से टैलेंटेड वॉलंटियर का समूह इंडिया कोविन एक्शन नेटवर्क से जुड़ा है और पिछले 3-4 सप्ताहों से इन स्कीम को सरल भाषा में ट्रांसलेट करने का काम कर रहे हैं। पहले तो ऐसे सभी आत्मनिर्भर प्रेरक्स का मैं आईकैन की ओर से स्वागत करता हूं। हमारे बीच में आज रिसोर्स पर्सन श्री प्रसन्नता कुमार स्वाइन जी जुड़े हैं। प्रसन्नता कुमार जी कृषि एवं किसान कल्याण मंत्रालय में ज्वाइंट सेक्रेटरी के साथ साथ एग्रीकल्चरल मार्केटिंग एडवाइजर भी है। उनकी पढ़ाई आईआईटी दिल्ली से एमटेक किया है उन्होंने, और एमफिल में वो गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट है इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। उनका अपना एम्पावरमेंट और ई मार्केटिंग में वो अब तक के माने जाते हैं और उनसे सभी जुड़े विषयों के उन्हें अपना भरी योगदान दिया हुआ है। सर, मैं आपका स्वागत करता हूं। सर, जैसे कि मैंने बताया, ये अपने आप में पहली बार अलग तरीके का प्रयोग है। यहाँ बैठे सारे लोग अपने अपने प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के आत्मनिर्भर भारत के आह्वान पर आईकैन के बैनर से जुड़े हैं। आज आप उनका सत्र ले रहे हैं। कल लेबर मिनिस्ट्री और परसों एमएसएमई की ओर से सत्र लेने के लिए रिसोर्स पर्सन आएंगे। इस कार्यक्रम का उद्घाटन भारतीय जनता पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय संगठन महामंत्री आदरणीय श्री बीएल संतोष जी ने किया था और इसका समापन 28 अगस्त को भारतीय जनता पार्टी के और रामभाऊ मल्लिप्रबंधी के उपाध्यक्ष आदरणीय श्री विनय सहस्रबुद्धे जी करने वाले हैं। सभी आत्मनिर्भर प्रेरक्स और आईकैन टीम की ओर से मैं उमेश मोरे आपका हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। आप समय निकालकर मंत्रालय की स्कीम के साथ सभी को अवगत कराने वाले हैं, उस पर चर्चा भी करने वाले हैं। आपका बहुत बहुत आभार सर। आगे की कार्रवाई के लिए मैं आशुतोष मिश्रा जी को कमान सौंपता हूं। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं आईकैन सेंट्रल टीम की मेंबर डॉक्टर सिमी मिश्रा जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे आईकैन के ऊपर आधारित एक प्रेजेंटेशन हम सभी के सामने प्रस्तुत करें। डॉक्टर सिमी।
Thank you, Ashutosh. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome, and thank you so much for sparing time to be with us this afternoon. And thank you all the Atmanirbhar Bharat Preraks. This is the first training. You are making history, and I'm extremely proud of this. So starting with the presentation, just let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet, ma'am.
Not yet. Okay.
Now we can.
Now you can see the screen. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Is it on the? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, sir, once again, a very welcome, and we are really looking forward to your inputs and your direction, how to make these schemes transferable and actionable when we go down to the common man. So like Umesh ji said that, this bunch of people that you see over here, we are more than 50 plus. We are expecting around close to 60 people to kind of join us. Some of us are a little late, but we will be around 50, 55 plus people over here. And they all come from wonderful walks of life. You have PhD people, you have people who are, from the IT sector, you have people from the social economic sector, marketing, you name it, and these people are over here as a part of this particular group. But despite being diverse in their backgrounds, one thing that will kind of resonate all through is their ability and their intent to work for the country. And which is why this movement is a very, very unique kind of a movement, which started off with ICANN and it's a citizens movement which started off, very early off, almost I think on the 24th or 29th of April, March, immediately after the first lockdown. This particular movement started off in two small cities of, Mumbai and Delhi, and then kind of spread like a wildfire all across the rest of India. And what you will notice is that, people from all walks of life have been kind of, joining in. So initial days, we kind of, just distributed ration, helped people to kind of get access to medicines. Little later, because the reverse migration started off, we helped people kind of, get transport, food on the way, medicine on the way, whatever aid was possible. Definitely, we kind of, did that. And all of this was done by kind of, through a portal which is called the ICANN portal, where the help seeker and the help giver kind of, came together. And they were geotagged in such a way that you could kind of, immediately, if there was a, pop-up that happened that, help is needed in one particular village, the helpers in and around that area, the warriors, the Coven warriors, as we call them, would be alerted and they would kind of, rush for help. And it was an extremely successful initiative, so much so that, we could, help more than 4 lakh people in a short span of about 90 days. And also what happened along with this was that we caught attention of a large number of, government officials and apex bodies at a national level. So Niti Aayog was one of them. And they in turn kind of, got us some 3,500 NGOs, which are kind of now a part of this network. So not only do we have, the apex bodies kind of, being a part of this initiative, but at the grassroots level, we have NGOs, the Coven warriors. And this is a, a recipe for success. And this is how we have been so successful. So after doing that, what we have now kind of, come to a stage when unlock 1, 2, and 3 is happening in various stages. And we also got, Modi ji giving us, a very good and handsome economic package to build back India. I think everybody kind of knows about it. We got, like 20 lakh crores of rupees, which is actually almost 10% of our GDP. And amongst the highest that any country in the world. So having kind of, done that, we have kind of, moved on and we're kind of trying to see that, when in the next 3 days, when Nirmala ji actually kind of, brought out these Atmanirbhar packages and tried to kind of decipher these in 5 different categories, we realized that, they are quite complex and difficult for any common man and even a literate person who's kind of used to economic policies and reading through to even kind of, make out what is written. And all the more confusing that, how do we kind of implement it out? So this group kind of, got together and broke them as per the 3, buckets that Sitaraman Nirmala ji had actually kind of, done. And we broke them into the first, second, and the third tranches, which is the MSME, the unorganized sector and migrants, and the agriculture. And this is how we've been kind of, working on them. So a group of people went through these documents, wrote down what was actually meant by them, which are the schemes that are kind of, coming under them, what are the kind of, challenges and what are the things. Next, the state teams, which are actually spread across all 25 states of India and also some of the, union territories, got into a research mode and asked the people on the ground, the common man, the farmer, the street vendor, the common man, that, what do you know and what do you know and how can we kind of help out? And there were 4, recurring themes that kind of came out over and over again. These were that, what are these schemes? I don't understand them. Am I really eligible for it or not? And if I'm eligible, what are the supporting documents that I need? And when and where do I kind of, apply after understanding all of this? So this became the backbone of our work. And we worked on these 4 themes to kind of, pick up the schemes and look for answers over here. And we created what is known as the mobile scheme cards. These mobile scheme cards are, we broke them into multiple schemes, and we kind of, said that in phase one, let's kind of, focus on only 38 schemes. And these are how the schemes were kind of, broken down. After that, in phase two, we will continue to kind of, build upon the number of schemes, because the impact is not only on the centrally driven schemes, but also at the state level. So now I'm going to be showing to you a small video. And this video is something that you will see where this is actually a replication of our ICANN website. And you will see that, like how we have kind of broken this down and how we are kind of, helping a person get access to these schemes in a very easy and simple manner. So with your permission, I'm just kind of starting the video. And you will see that, these are, we've got a ICANN repository, and these are kind of, broken down for the farmer, for the migrant workers, and for the MSME sector. Now, if I click any one of these, it takes me to a subpage where a person can either search the scheme by a name or kind of use a drop down to kind of, search for the categories. Once the categories are there, you will notice that, like we've also kind of, given some high level indication whether it is a DBT or a credit linked scheme. And then if you kind of go into the details, you will see that, each of these schemes have been kind of, broken down into the 4 essences and translated into multiple different languages. These languages, we also have, mobile cards. These are simple, mobile cards which can be downloaded or which can be displayed on the mobile. And in case you want to kind of keep a printout or something, these are also available as a simple PDF document. So with that, sir, we hope that, we will equip our Preraks with this kind of material so that in the future they can kind of, go off and kind of, work on these schemes and kind of, translate them and take them to the people, which is the common people, the beneficiary for whom these are, actually meant for. So behind the schemes, I just want to quickly introduce the people who are there today. Moreji did say that, we are like a very talented people. So Meeta Boraji has been kind of leading the MSME sector with her team. The unorganized sector and the migrants team has been led by Rajshri ji and her team. And then the agriculture sector has been kind of, led by Biradar Pradeep ji and his team. Behind that, translation handled by the state team, without which we could not have actually kind of, done this wonderful work. And the core team consisted of, Sudhanshu, Kamal, and Janisha, who helped us kind of put all the materials onto the website. So with that, sir, I would kind of, stop over here and hand it over back to Ashutosh ji for the next steps.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this wonderful presentation. मैं आपसे रिसोर्स पर्सन श्री पीके स्वामी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो हम सभी का मार्गदर्शन करें. भाई साहब.
Also, thank you, Ms. Ji, and special thanks to Semi Madam for a wonderful presentation. I think probably that sums up the mood, and also that sums up what you have been doing. I'm really thankful to you for bringing it out so succinctly. And in fact, I'm very happy to learn that you have actually, I mean, you have helped more than 4 lakh in fact, almost in 90 days time, with almost COVID warriors of 4,200 nearly. Saluting to them, all the COVID warriors of your, I mean, I can do, I mean, organization. You have been doing a wonderful job, and in fact, the professionals that you are all, that gives me that incentive to talk to you, because probably you must have read it and you must be knowing better informed than in some of my own schemes that I have been designing. But anyway, it's my pleasure to be there with you. As you have said, it's the first of the session. So I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I've been given about 40-45 minutes, I understand, but I'll try go slowly. But one question is that I have prepared the presentation in English, and I mean, if you want me also to mix with Hindi, I'll do that. So there is no problem. So Hindi and English I can mix both. Both. So it's for you to just tell me what exactly you like to.
So English will do, both
Mix.
English and Hindi, as whichever way you comfortable.
Fine, no problem. Am I visible? Something has happened to my screen. Joining.
Yes.
Am I visible? So I'm trying to attach the PowerPoint now. Just a minute. So. Am I able to?
So we can see your screen. We can see your screen and that Atmanirbhar Krishi, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I was not able to see, so that's why I was trying to find it out. Thank you. Now, so as you know, like agriculture, that is Krishi. So that's been a kind of strong pillar of economic growth of the nation, propelling the nation during this COVID period. So it is the farmers that we salute. It's a Jai Kisan along with Jai Jawan today, that both have ensured, they will ensure us the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So coming back to Atmanirbhar Krishi, like as you know, it was the May, it was historic when you are working through 25th of March from the date of national lockdown. We are working through, we started getting up the Krishi. It was around the harvest time, around the corner, harvest was around the corner. We started working, opening the markets and everything. We ensured that the harvest goes on smoothly, and the market then links, the harvest then links to the market, and the farmers get going on this. So from there, during April, when we are working, then came this May, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, when this package of Atmanirbhar Krishi came into being. As you know, this that was on 15th of May. This third tranche of Atmanirbhar Bharat was declared, which was basically pertaining to agriculture sector. And, if you look at it, I represent the Department of Agriculture and Cooperation. We have another Department of Animal Husbandry, the third Department of Fisheries. In the Ministry of Three Department, I am from the Department of Agriculture Cooperation and Farmers Welfare. As you know, like agriculture contributes 15% of the GDP and more than 50% of the population. And certainly, India is the largest producer in spice, pulses. If you see the that pillar that we are in the production sector, the milk, tea, cashew, jute, banana, even papaya, jackfruit, etc. It's all there. I mean, India is the largest producer in this. It's the second largest producer in grain, rice, fruit, vegetables. We are certainly fruits and vegetables. If you look at it, we are second to China. And then, of course, food grains, we are number 2, cotton and all seeds. And then we have the largest livestock population, even in the world, we are the largest. And we are one of the leading net agri exporter. So that actually makes everything, all the elements ripen for India to take a kind of lead in the global scenario in terms of agriculture, agriculture production, agriculture value additions, everything. So the conditions are right. So obviously, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of reaching definitely 5 trillion economy by 2024 from current level of nearly almost 3 trillion it doesn't look far behind. I mean, it is certainly achievable. Now, given this, it's definitely that there are the Atmanirbhar Krishi comprised of the 3 ordinance, out of which we are dealing with 2 ordinance: Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Ordinance 2020. Then second is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement and Price Assurance and Farm Service Ordinance 2020. Then other was that rupees 1 lakh crore Agri Infrastructure Fund. These are the 3 which are basically, which came as the part of for our ministry, for our department rather, this thing. Whereas the another was on the Essential Commodity Act, which is for the Consumer Affairs Ministry. We added on top of it this FPO promotion scheme, 10,000 FPO, which we added. The first ordinance was to basically there are the APMC markets, which are basically regulated market for the wholesale produce of the farmers. So they had almost a monopoly. So the farmers are free to sell, but then but they have to sell it to the licensed buyers, which are limited in number. So that compulsion has now been done away with by coming out with the Trade and Commerce Ordinance. Then the other issue was the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Ordinance, that is a contract farming ordinance under the Indian Contract Act, which provides a legal framework all India basis. So the farmers as well as the contract farming sponsors, that's the industry, processing industry, the exporters, the facilitative arrangement. So the contract farming can be done, which will give a kind of assured marketing also additionally to the farmers. So given this, and the 1 lakh crore infrastructure agri infrastructure fund, so that is for development of the infrastructure, particularly farm gate infrastructure, because we need capital investment in the agriculture sector, particularly value addition sectors, which is India needs to invest in very badly at the moment. So that infrastructure fund has come the right time when actually the market has been squeezed. Given this, let me come to the first ordinance, that is Trade and Commerce Ordinance. I shortly call it Trade and Commerce Ordinance. It is basically, it deals with the farmers' produce, where the liberalization has happened. That is foodstuff, that is cereal, pulses, oilseeds, fruits, vegetable, and goatry, fisheries, poultry, that I have already brought it out, cattle fodder, also the raw cotton seeds and raw jute. So that means it is covering the agriculture sector very clearly, horticulture sector very nicely. The entire gamut it is covering in this case, including the cotton and the jute. So these are one, because the APMC Act, State APMC Act provides for scheduled agricultural produce which are regulated. So to distinguish it, we gave a kind of nomenclature of farmers' produce, so that even if scheduled agricultural produce are regulated by the APMC market, now by doing certain innovations in this ordinance, we have now brought down the regulations part to within the APMC markets, whereas the outside the APMC market, physical boundary of the market has been liberalized and made the trade area where the farmers' produce is free to be traded by the farmer and the buyer. That's the kind of liberalization which has been made in this. So it is like it is a freedom to the farmers and traders for sale of the farmers' produce. It will help to get remunerative prices of the farmers' produce through competitive alternative trading channel. One of the channel was, of course, marketing channel of the APMC. The other is the contract farming. Third is the direct marketing, which are already there. We have added one trading additional channel, that's the trading. So that's the additional options available to the farmer. So now that he's free, he can sell it even at the farm gate or at the factory gate. He doesn't have to bring he or she doesn't have to bring the produce to the PMC markets. So, so that means it will definitely promote a kind of competition where it is not only the licensed buyers who can buy. It is even we have simplified that buyer category so that more buyers will now join easily, which will promote basically interstate and intrastate trade, which was having some barriers earlier to the APMC. Now we have freed that space, so even a farmer can sell it to the buyer of the another state in the trade area. So that means he has more buyers which will be available for that. And then it also provides a facilitative framework for electronic trading platform. So in the trade area, I am talking about the trade area, which is to distinguish it from the APMC markets, which is trade area is outside these APMC markets. So now the new players can enter the market without any licensing. That's the nicety of this entire ordinance. Then it is almost all produce, whatever is there in the scheduled agricultural produce are covered under the our farmers produce category. So that means even if they are regulated within the APMC, outside they are free from any regulations of the APMC. That means APMC cannot regulate them outside the APMC per principal yard and sub yards. So that is called the trade area outside. That means they are basically, they can be any farm gate, they can be any factory premise, they can be any warehouse, they can be any silo, they can be any cold storage or any such structure outside this licensed premises. By licensed premise, I mean that under the APMC Act, the APMC markets, yards and sub-yards are definitely covered under that. Apart from this, licensed private markets are covered, so it's not a trade area, licensed private market, which are licensed under the APMC Act. then they license the direct marketing structures and centers. They are excluded from this. And so if you take out those, then any other places like what I have said is farm gate, factory premise, warehouses, silo, so cold storages, there they can sell it easily. No more regulations in that case by the APMC. So they'll be regulated under the ordinance, this Trade and Commerce Ordinance. So that means APMC regulation is now confined to within these licensed premises under the APMC Act, whereas trade it is. Now, who are the traders under this ordinance? There are anybody who has a PAN number. That's a simplification which has been done. So they are eligible to buy this trade area. The farmers produce. And electronic trading transaction platform may be set up by any body corporate, not by individual, or even farmers collective like Fpos and agriculture cooperative societies. So that is basically, so that is why we want to bring in electronic trading and transaction platform. As you know, precursor to this is ENAM. You might have heard about. I was driving this ENAM. That is E-National Agriculture Market, where we are trying to bring this standalone physical APMC market. They have joined them through the ENAM platform. It's a virtual platform, joining virtually all these markets so that the distance trader can take a bid on this for the farmer scheduled agricultural produce which he brings to the APMC market. So we had the experience of the ENAM. We realized that there is a very good competition which is coming up because the APMC market, there is generally a collision between the traders. So catalyzation happens. So poor farmer who brings it to the nearest APMC market is subjected to this powerful lobby of the trader in the physical bidding methodology because these traders are in that particular market, they're dominating that market. So they decide almost while bidding. So that there is a possibility of price manipulation under this APMC. So that is why when we brought the ENAM, we realized that we can join more markets, more traders into this, going beyond the physical space. So traders of other markets can join in this and can take a bid. So taking cue from that, now we are also allowing private sectors to come up with this electronic trading platform in the trade area, so that more bidding, competitive bidding can take place. Price discovery will be transparent, and then quality-based price discovery can happen. Quality-based means quality. Quality assaying, quality checking can happen, and based on the quality, better price discovery can happen for the farmer. So farmer will get a better price on the electronic trading platform. Then we have a provision of the market information system, which are working at the moment currently. And one best part is that, like no fee or cess in the trade area. APMC is subjected to market fee and cess. In addition to this, there are the commission charges and also other charges are there, which when compounded, it comes to minimum like 4 to 5% or even upward. So that means when the farmer brings his produce within the APMC and takes it out after and the trader buys it and brings it out, within that market premise, straight away cost additions is 5 to 6%. Whereas in the trade area, there is no cess, forget about the commission agent and other charges. So that means it brings down the marketing cost easily for farmers. So the price spread for farmer in the consumer price will improve substantially. So he'll get a better price now. So it is, it also provides for payment settlement within 3 days, particularly because generally we'll encourage for the same day, otherwise within the 3 days, for which the rules we have made the provision already of the receipt and everything. Then there is a provision of e-registration facility in case the situation arises, then e-registration facilities will be provided for this so that the traders of the electronic trading platform can be registered and can be tracked also on that. Then there is a simplified conciliation and dispute resolution mechanism at the subdivisional level. So that is dispute resolution board and then the SDM and the collector method. And then there is a pecuniary penalty provision and then rule making power of this. This is all in nutshell about the farming, trade and commerce ordinance. Then I go to the farming agreement, the second ordinance which is there. That is, it provides for a legal agreement. It's a contract farming. Second ordinance that I'm now talking about is a contract farming agreement, which is a central ordinance. In fact, states have given their own. Earlier, the contract farming was a part of the APMC Act, and it still continues with almost 20 states. And there is a conflict of interest to the APMC who do not promote the contract farming. But then 2 states, particularly like Tamil Nadu and Odisha, come out with their own contract farming agreement, state level contract farming model act. They have come out with a basically both of them, Tamil Nadu has come out with the act and Odisha with the ordinance, and Punjab had an act, contract farming act. But then this contract farming was not being it has not been very popular within the state. So now we have come out with the central so that it can help farmers to directly get the industry to contract with them, or a exporter or a processing industry or a big buyer, bulk buyers, they can contract. So that means from the production stage itself, contract can happen, pre-production stage. For the produce, so that at a particular price, so that the farmer knows he's going to get a better price than the market, and he'll be encouraged to produce a quality produce. India needs a quality produce, and there can be handholding by these sponsors in terms of production processes, in terms of better input, because better the input like seed, etc., better is the quality of the production. So that handholding extension activities can also be provided in terms of backward linkages to the group of farmers who will be entering into agreement. And here, in this case, the ownership of the commodity remains with the farmer, and he gets paid for delivery of the produce. Sponsor can provide the input and the bear the risk. The farmer gets paid for the services. Such other agreement or combination thereof. It is just not the produce agreement to buy that. Also the service agreement, as I have said, the input, etc. All this will be there in that. Guidelines also has been already provided. Then price of the farming produce may be fixed based on prefixed on in this farming agreement between the producer and the sponsor. I call it sponsor. This industry can be the sponsor. Exporter can be the sponsor. When the subject the price is always subject to variation, because price is never constant. It is subject to many factors, demand, and a lot of things, and depends on a lot of things. So definitely. So that is why there is a provision of the minimum guaranteed price in that agreement, which both sides have to agree upon. That is, minimum guaranteed price will be actually, in case of any contingency event, that minimum guaranteed price has to be paid by the sponsor to the what may come to the farmer for the produce, which has been agreed upon for that quality. So any additional above and suppose the market goes beyond the guaranteed price, so then there is a provision of the higher price above the guaranteed price payment to the farmer by the sponsor. So this depends on with this guaranteed price. I mean this extra price, that's a bonus price, will be as per a price reference. So that price reference will be calculated based on the benchmark price. Certainly, like your APMC has a benchmark price. APMC will capture the APMC prices, whatever is daily wholesale buying and selling. That is captured through a network called AdmarkNet. That's a very big network which connects nearly 3,000 markets in India, and for 300 commodities. So it gives almost daily the prices of daily trading, which is there. So that can be a benchmark price or any other benchmark price which they can agree upon, from which they will have a kind of guaranteed as well as the bonus price calculations. So that method, how to calculate that, should also be the form part of the agreement. Then this is a kind of there is a provision for the quality, because this why the industry should come for a contract farming. More than India, it is contract farming is in most of the advanced countries. They are very well developed. Even in Africa, it is going on very well. So it provides a specific good market, assured market to the farmers. At the same time, the sponsor gets a assured quantity at a particular quality they need, because the processing industry needs produce at a particular quality. So that they can help get produced to this group of farmers, and they can pay better price to them than the market. So that is why this contract agreement is there. So that means it's a kind of win-win situation on both sides. So, and then obviously, like there are the different practices have to be followed, which the farmers are not aware. The sponsor can bring them to that. That is good agricultural practices which he requires. I mean, which the farmer has to follow, so that the particular standard produce can be produced. So it can be for international market, for the domestic market. This pesticide residue is an important thing, so that can guide on this. Then all other issues like labor or the social developmental issues can be there. There is a provision of the third party assaying, quality checking, and quality monitoring. So that means quality is the basis for a kind of delivery and even the arbitration, which will happen in case of dispute on that. So model agreement is a quality standards is standard, and pricing reference is already there, and that is the sponsor to timely acceptance of delivery and payment of the produce to the farmer. Then agreement cannot be in derogation of the right of the sharecroppers, and then of course sale, lease, and mortgage of farmers' land is prohibited. This is very important. That means even if it is being done no mortgage of the farmer's land. Farmer's land is protected. It is with the farmer. The sponsor cannot take away the land of the farmer. And even if the sponsor is building up some structure, it is with the consent of the farmer, and he has to remove it at the end of this thing. Or in case they both agree, then it will vest to the farmer. If the farmer agrees, yes, it can be there, then it will be the kind of, it will remain with the farmer. So the farmer's liability in this entire agreement is limited to advance receipt from the sponsor and the cost of the input provided by the sponsor. It's not beyond that. So farmer is very well protected. One is that guaranteed price. The other is this particular clause, which helps him to be protected in this entire thing. So and farmer's land is protected against any recovery. Then there is a conciliation procedure inbuilt into this. Both sides have to agree. The conciliation board is already defined in this agreement. So first stage of conciliation will happen. If conciliation fails, then they can approach the subdivisional authority, and then of course then there is a kind of then the collector and additional collectors will be there, like the other agreement. I mean other ordinance. And this, in case the sponsor doesn't pay, there is a penalty provision, because there is a procedure, summary procedure with the SDM, there is a summary procedure with the collector, there is a penalty provision against the sponsor for non-payment of this. Now, given this, I've spoken about two ordinances. These two ordinances are providing the ecosystem to build up so that the market is liberalized. Now the conditions are free. One of the major was simplifying rule and liberalizing rule. So one of these is that liberalizing the ecosystem. These two ordinances. Third ordinance, of course, I didn't speak about. That's the Essential Commodity Services Act. So that actually providing the limits. That is actually bring lot of this uncertainty, investment in the storage, because this control that was there earlier, that has been liberalized through this ordinance. So the investment in warehousing system will come up to that particular, which is being done by the Consumer Affairs Ministry. Now, if you have to look at the ecosystem, we have also provided a farmer and FPO. If you are able to build if you are able to group the farmers into FPO, because 86% of our farm holding is small and marginal, less than 2 hectares. So obviously they don't have economy of scale. They don't have access to the technology because of the small size of the land holding, because of the small, financial strain. So obviously they may not get a good access to the input. They may not get good access to technology. They may not get access to the machinery and this thing and the practices, etc. So if we are able to form the FPOs, which I'll be talking after this slide, and we are able to grow the logistic players, we are able to grow warehousing sector. Warehousing is a major issue for us, because farmers do not have a kind of holding power, because they are majorly small and marginal, as I have said, 86%. So if we are able to develop the holding power with them, why it is important? Because when the harvest is there, the supply outstrips the demand. Too much of supply and demand remaining the same at that point of harvest, post-harvest period. So obviously, the farmer is small is under compulsion to sell it, because he has invested from his pocket to produce the entire thing for 3 months or 4 months. Now he has to sell it to meet those expenses and meet all other expenses. If you look at it, the harvest seasons are always coinciding with some festival season. So he needs money. So he rushes to the market to sell it. And at that point, the price crashes. So he has to sell it at a low price. He sells it almost compulsory. So that is why there is a need for him, the need to promote this storage facility with a credit system, so that the farmer will be able to store it during this price depression period, and the price after a certain time will see it will start coming up. So once the price start creeping up, so farmers should be able to sell it at a better price, so that he is able to make a profit out of it. That is how the holding capacity is. So in India, we have to improve warehousing sector in the rural areas. So that is what this ordinance will help, because the Trade and Commerce Ordinance will help investment. The Essential Commodities Act also will help, the liberalization of that also will help promote the warehousing sector, and better the actually storing in the warehousing, less of the post-harvest losses. India is one of the countries with high amount of percentage of post-harvest losses. That will also come down. Then the other is the credit provision. That is what is we are working at. Then of course, retailers and consumers, they have to get a good quality produce at a reasonable price, and insurance also will happen. So if you're seeing, I have combined all this for you particularly to make a presentation. That is, a digital commerce platform will come up, because trade and commerce ordinance will definitely help that. And if you have to look at assaying and grading, in that particular ordinance, we are talking about the assaying and grading facility through the promotion of the assaying and grading facility. And then with that also, we are talking about the warehousing and cold storage, the investment will come. The logistic also we are talking about, it will come. Then of course, food processing will get a boost, because India needs to improve the food processing. Unlike, like, if you look at Thailand, almost is at 30% of food processing. If you have to look at France, it is almost at 70%. US is also almost like that. So India, of course, is very low, almost 3% of fruits and vegetable processing. So we need to really scale up, because it has a distinct advantage. So we need to really grow this food processing sector, and this ordinance will really help coming up the food processing sector in that. And along with that will come the credit and the finance insurance development for towards the agribusiness, which is quite required. So these are like, as I have said, like the infrastructure fund, that's one more, I mean, that's what which has come up. I'll talk about the infrastructure fund. It is a 1 lakh crore fund, I mean, which is created package. So this is aimed at reduction in the food wastage and creation of opportunity for value addition. I'll say how it is happening. Then, of course, it's a capital, it will inject capital investment into the agriculture, which is badly required in terms of farm gate investment in infrastructure. Then aggregation, storage, marketing infrastructure will get a boost. Large scale employment generation will happen. Introduction of digital technology also will get boost in this, and strengthening of farmers collective. FPOs will get a, FPOs and agri cooperative society will get a kind of boost also in this entire thing, apart from the individual farmers. Then this is financing facility, rupees 1 lakh crore, and carried. There is a here of the farmer or the FPO or the agri cooperative, they can take a credit up to 2 crore under this scheme as a provision. And while taking a loan, they'll be eligible under the scheme for a kind of interest subvention of 3%. This will be through NABARD. So effective rate will come around 5 to 6% in that range. And along with this credit, there is one facility of the credit guarantee. You know, banks ask for a kind of collateral. Generally, they'll ask for a land or something asset for collateral. So collateral. So instead of collateral, because there is a kind of guarantee facility, so that they don't have to really bother about the collateral for taking this this thing. So this is the one, and then there are multiple lending institutions involved. So the like banks are there, commercial banks are there, cooperative banks, NCDC, NBFC. So it will cover all cooperative sectors, general sectors, and everything. So this is basically 1 lakh crore package which is there, particularly. Is it? Okay. Now, what are the infrastructure which are? Sorry, I'm not getting full scale. Can you see it full now? Sorry. Now the eligible projects under the agri infra fronts are now shown. My apology, I didn't really put it on this slide, so, but then now you can see that completely. The post-harvest PHM infrastructure, that is on the left side, I have shown what are the infrastructure for this. This is eligibility is there under this 1 lakh crore financing scheme. That is cold stores, cold chain, warehousing, silos, big silos. Then assaying, quality checking, grading, and packaging. Packaging is a very important. Our farmers suddenly are deprived of this. The grading, more you do the grade A, grade B, grade C. The segregation of the produce into this grade and selling in the market will fetch them better price. Packaging also fetches much better price. So these are entirely required for this. So these facilities are also infrastructure facilities are enabled on this. Then of course ripening chambers, waxing plants are all eligible under this. And then of course you have to look at there are various viable projects which can be there. Organic is already there. Then that is precision farming, the biostimulant, and project identified for providing supply chain infrastructure on the cluster basis, and PPP projects promoted by central, state, local governments, sector agencies. So the beneficiaries are like, as I have said, primary agriculture cooperative societies, marketing cooperative societies, FPOs, SHGs, joint liability groups, multipurpose cooperative societies, etc. Now, let's come to the last scheme that I'm talking about is the formation and promotion of 10,000 farmer producer organization. How much time do I have, sorry, to go on this scheme presentation?
Sir, 15-20 minutes you can.
Okay, sure, thank you. So the FPO, why the FPO? Because as I have said, 86% of our farm holding is small and marginal. We need to aggregate them to make them a force. If they are joined together, it's like each single drop joined to make an ocean. That becomes a powerhouse. So if we join these farmers, the bargaining power will increase. Their access to technology, their access to credit, better import will improve. So that is why this FPO scheme is one of the it started in 2013. Now realizing that this is really benefiting the farmers in group from production to marketing. So that is why this the government has come up with this new scheme of 10,000 farmer producer organizations. So where the hand-holding will be provided to each of the FPO that will be formed under the scheme. That is for 5 years. We are a professional agency. Professional agencies are being empaneled now, so they will be engaged into different produce clusters. Around the produce clusters, this FPOs will be formed. So that will be there. We'll be forming this 10,000 FPOs up to 2023-24, but then handholding will continue to 27-28 because 5 years handholding is there. So that is there. It is a central sector scheme. That means totally funded by Government of India. This is a 6,800 crore plus scheme, which will be from the Government of India entirely. So there is no problem of financing. So this will be formed very clearly, 10,000 FPOs. So here, the minimum number of members will be 300 in plain area and 100 in the northeast and hilly area. Hilly means 1,000 meters. Generally, definition we take it as 1,000 meters and above. And I mean, northeast, of course, because of the low density. So that is why you have taken 100 at this to be eligible under this scheme. They can do less than that, but then the eligibility under this scheme will be like minimum 300 in plain area and 100 in northeast and hilly area. Then the FPOs will be basically kind of formal organization. So they can be registered either under the Companies Act, that's a Part 9A. In the Companies Act 2013, it was under the amendment it came. So that was for the farmer producer companies, very specifically created because the cooperative experiment through Amul, Professor Korean, which he did. So the idea came out from him that cooperative federalism in a company structure with the shareholders contributing to this, participating primarily and developing themselves, this business will be a good without interference of the cooperative. So that is a FPC chapter was developed under that Part 9A. So that is Companies Act. The members can decide whether to go for the under the registered their own FPO under the Companies Act or the State Cooperative Societies Act. Or any mutual aided cooperative societies act, which are again under the state by the members of the FPO. We are targeting 15% of this total 10,000 FPOs in the aspirational districts. This 112 aspirational districts will be focusing to grow the FPO with at least one FPO in each block of these aspirational districts. Because we'll take care of in the Atmanirbhar Bharat, we want to ensure that even the aspirational districts gets this FPO and gets the drive so that they come up better than any other areas in India. Even the notified tribal area we are focusing on under this scheme. So they will also be getting a boost under this FPO program. The scheme will be focusing on one district, one focused product. That means it is not that the FPO, if you grow a FPO on one product, it may not be sustainable because there has to be several commodities because every commodity has a kind of seasonality of production and harvest. So if you have only one commodity, so harvest will be one season. After that, the members may not come together and they may not have a business together. So that is a FPO is based on the principle of multi-product this thing. But then we'll be focusing on one key product in which the district can specialize. While other products also FPOs will be dealing with for survivability and growth for sustainable. So one focus product, like for example, those who are from Tripura may be knowing Queen Pineapple, is very, very famous. GC. It can, I mean, anywhere in the world it will be like hotcake, but then they don't have a market at the moment. So that product can get a kind of focus product in that Tripura. So like this, if you talk about anything, maybe Allahabad guava, it has a GI tag. So that can also be taken up under this and then promoted out of it. The processing can get a boost, export can get a boost, value addition can get a boost. So one district, because this is not new to us. In 1979, Japan introduced this project of one village, one product, and that has been taken by all the ASEAN regions. Maybe one village, one product, one district, one product, one city, one product. Philippines has that one city, one product. So now we are getting into this one district, one product, focus product, so that the processing export will also get a benefit. It will benefit directly the farmers, if you see in this case. So there will be 3 implementing agencies which will be doing, that is basically SFSC, which has been already doing it, NABARD, which has been doing it. We have joined NCTC, National Cooperative Development Corporation, as the new for the cooperative sector, because that now cooperative sector also will be state, it can be registered on the State Cooperative Act. So that is the NCTC has been brought. In addition to this, states can also suggest their own implementing agency to us. And if they are really capable of, we can also add these implementing agencies. In fact, Karnataka has recently suggested, we have agreed to it because they have been doing FPO, raising FPO, and Karnataka Watershed Development Department, and we agreed to it very clearly. Even so, that is why, like, it's not that this 3. So but then other states are coming up, which the states which are doing well already. One of the nodal agency they can propose, and we'll be able to look into whether they have the ability, they have the manpower, because this implementing agency will in turn engage the professional agency to aggregate and grow the FPO. They'll have to do this professional agency engaged by the implementing agency will do a kind of baseline survey to understand what is the produce cluster, what's the size of the cluster, what is the probable number of members, what are the marketing opportunity, what are the infrastructure gap, because that's the starting point. Baseline survey, this professional agency will have to do it. Based on which they'll do the aggregation, then their meetings, their registration with the either with the Companies Act or on the Cooperatives Act, and their business plan they'll be developing. They'll be doing the market linkage. They'll help them to get the credit facility. They'll help them to mobilize the equity base. All those. So that is why this professional agency called CBBO, that is cluster-based business organization. This produce around the produce clusters they'll be working. So they'll be allocated and they'll be doing all this from baseline survey to managing the growing and registering the FPO and managing their business for this 5 years handholding. They'll be helping them. These FPOs will have their CEO and accountant and the board of directors. So they'll be training them, initial preliminary training also they'll be giving that preliminary training, the CBBOs. But the CBBOs will have to have 5 types of professionals. That is crop production, crop husbandry. The other is marketing, value addition, processing. The third category will be legal and accounting. Accounting is a main issue. 4th is the ITM, IES. 5th is the social mobilization, because social mobilization is a major issue, so they'll have to have this. So the empanelment will take care of that. Then in addition to this, there is a facility of equity grant, because they have to be financially strengthened. Whatever the members will be contributing, there is a matching equity grant up to rupees 2,000 per member and up to rupees 15 lakh per FPO. If any member, if the members are contributing up to 2,000, so we'll be contributing up to 2,000 equally matching. If they are contributing more than 2,000, they are free to contribute, but into the equity, but our contribution per member will be limited to 2,000 rupees. Then in order to further strengthen finance, it is very important, finance is very important. This credit guarantee facility is there. Bank also they can take the loan, and the guarantee facility will be there. 1,500 crore. Their loan will be up to 2 crore, but 1,500 credit guarantee fund will be created under this. 1,000 crore with the NABARD and 500 crore with the NCTC. Now, of course, now capacity building plays a very important role for the FPO. One is the baseline capacity building by the CBBOs, but then professional capacity building and skill development has been also factored into through the professional training institutions skill building. So we have taken 2 nodal agencies such as BIRD, Bankers Institute of Rural Development, Lucknow, under the NABARD, and the other is LINAC, Gurgaon, under the NCDC. So, that is a Lucknow Inamdar National Agri Cooperative Institute, which is training institute. These will be the 2 nodal training institutes. They are like a management training institute for this FPO, where there will be a kind of management development for the FPO. So they will be doing it in association with various training institutions, national level training institutions, maybe NIAM, NIRD, MANES, this IRMA. Then they can be any state agriculture university, even KVKs, and even other training institutions, good reputed training institutions, so that the FPOs get a good training. In fact, this training will be around the organizational management, behavior, accounting, compliance issues, marketing, market linkage, trading, all these issues, even social cohesion, mobilization, incubation, all these trainings are being developed. We had a brainstorming with these organizations to develop this course curriculum. This can be both classroom, online, e-learning module. E-learning module, we are asking them to develop in local languages. And even for the future cadre, we are also asking them to develop the PG diploma courses so that the CEO of the, for the CEO and accountant, which are the major functionaries in the of the FPO, they need to. I mean, the people can take that and there will be availability of the manpower in case any CEO leaves a particular organization like any FPO. There will be others fallback mechanism in that. So we'll be training this existing FPOs, the new FPOs, very clearly on this. I mean, new FPOs that will be growing, we'll be training them on different type of things. That's the CEO, the accountant, the board of directors, and the members will be doing that. Then what I have so far told is about the new FPOs 10,000. But there are already more than 6,000 FPOs in India. Some of these existing FPOs can avail also credit guarantee facility under our credit guarantee scheme. And we have a national project management agency that we are establishing, which will be at the national level, which will be developed, I mean, which will be managing an integrated portal in which data of every FPO will be maintained. Their financial strength, their business, everything will be maintained. So there will be all ratios will be maintained so that financial health can be seen, their business can be seen. In case required for guidance, this LPF can guide this CBBO, CBBO, or they can also tell them that these are the things you need to do. So there is a kind of national professional body being engaged, which will be there here. So they will also have the experts that is being there. These 5 experts, they will be there of super category. So they will be guiding these implementing agencies, the CBPOs, even the FPOs. So the existing FPO also can contact them for advice on that. They can definitely do this because CBPO has to prepare a business plan also, as I have said. So in addition to this, industry can also grow the FPO by themselves. Like this, various processing industry can grow the FPO for their own business, like link them. So there is a particular assistance into this. Let me also see what is the financial assistance. There is a 18 lakh. I mean, to the FPO directly will flow rupees 18 lakh in 3 years period, first 3 years period. That is a CEO salary, support towards CEO salary. We are not giving a CEO salary, but a support towards CEO salary up to 25,000 per month, and accountant salary support up to 10,000 per month is there. In addition to this, they support towards the establishment cost in terms of rental of the premise, in terms of electricity cost, in terms of telephone cost, and also the cost of registration up to 40,000 rupees for cost of registration. For under the Companies Act, the registration cost is around 40 to 43,000 comes. 40,000 will be straight away available to them. In the cooperative sector, it is much less than 40,000. So that is why it is there. Even the minor equipment and furniture also we are providing for this under this some assistance we are providing. So the office can be managed easily, very clearly. So that 18 lakhs cost will come directly to this FPOs without going through the company. The companies can do it. They'll give their plan entirely. Will go through this, and this FPOs which will come up with them will directly pass on to this, so that the FPO come. But provided 60% of the produce of this FPO has to be marketed by this agriculture value chain company, because then that means it can be sustainable. That's the kind of thing which will have to be done. So that's the kind of industry linking to the FPO will happen even if the industry is developing that very clearly. Whereas we are developing the market linkage there to these BBOs, monitoring them. Here, industry can also do this. This is the kind of things which will come up. So if you have to look at, there is a 3-tier monitoring system. One is at the central level, that is led by our secretary, which will be allocating clusters, working with the states for the production clusters, specialized production clusters, like organic clusters. Organic we want to develop in India. Natural farming also we want to develop in India. Oilseed sector we want to really promote in India. We are right now working on the oilseed clusters so that FPOs will be grown in that sector. So like even the rural development ministry we are working for within that state rural state RLM. So we can develop FPOs through them very clearly, so that there will be a kind of convergence between agriculture and rural development in those sectors. So they'll be there. In the state level, there is also a monitoring committee led by the Secretary Agriculture or Additional Chief Secretary Agriculture. And at the district level, which is an important role to play, district collector of this Jila Parishad, and which is being served by the DDM Navards. So there actually this cluster identification, produce cluster identification is one which this PTA and the district level committee headed by the director. And you'll be happy to know nearly almost 33 states and union territories have already done it. They have already formed these committees. And in 221 districts already this committee, district level monitoring committee has been formed. Because the states are also interested that the FPOs, their own farmers are getting aggregated, and it is for the benefit of the farmers. They are coming forward to in the scheme. It's a central sector scheme, centrally funded scheme. So the states are now really having enthusiasm in this. So definitely it is, they are looking at it very avidly. It will be a cooperation at that stage, and the district collectors can also give a feedback about the because there's a district coordination, that banking committee is there, banking committee, coordination committee is there. So the district collectors are the chairman, so they can give a feedback as to how much credit is being flowing to the, is there any hindrance in that to the FPOs and how are they performing. So those feedback will come to our central committee and we'll be able to match. And central committee also will be held by that NPM, a National Project Management Agency, that agency which is being set up for this purpose. So the broad services which are there, like inputs like seed, fertilizer, pesticides, and such other inputs are reasonably lower, because if the FPO, we realize through the feedback system that the FPOs are able to buy the quality input. Individual farmers may not get access to quality input. If they get it, then it will be very high price. But this, as an aggregation, as a wholesale, they get a good access to the input, quality input, fertilizer, quality pesticides at a low cost. So this reduces the cost of production for them as a group. Then it also helps them to bring up the infrastructure, asset build-up, various kind of asset build-up for the both production as well as the harvest as well as the post-production process, that is the post-harvest sector, including like whether it is processing or storage or everything. So they'll be able to get this, what I have listed out at this. Then they can take other supplementary income activities like seed production, beekeeping, mushroom cultivation, etc. Additionally, they can do it. As I've said, it will be like multi-product, so they can do that very clearly. And certainly, the availability to market information will also improve for them. It will be technology-based, and logistic services access also will improve, because if they are together, they can have a storage facility. They can hire a transport, because individual farmer getting a transportation for their own produce is very difficult. It is expensive, but then now they can have a kind of easy access to transportation, loading, unloading facilities, and all this. So the business plan that will be developed for them by the CBBO will definitely take care of that, both medium term and long term, so that the business plan, it makes them sustainable even after 5 years of handholding very clearly. So if you have to look at this, they have listed some of these successful FPOs, which is already find them in the SFSC, which is the Small Farmer Agribusiness Consortium. Their website provides for this. It's a very good. ISA Foundation, you can see in Coimbatore, is already there. Those who are in Tamil Nadu can very well see that. There are various types of FPOs which have come up that doing very well, particularly. So those are there available, which can be seen into this. And certainly, if you have to see, there is a KCC, Kisan Credit Card. So that is also, there is a special drive on this, which is basically like is being undertaken by the department and the ministry. So under which, like, if you have to look at it, this KCC that is being there. So there is a target to achieve for us. So that is 2.5 crore of new KCC cards is been targeted, which will inject about rupees 2 lakh crore rupees to rural economy. We have already done 1.15 crore KCC cards already during this COVID period. It is during the COVID period I'm talking about. It's almost equivalent to 96,000 rupees crore injections into the rural economy. Now, animal husbandry sector and fisheries farmers, they have been included in this, and the benefits, the concessional credit up to rupees 2 lakh. So definitely, the KCC will help them to in the credit channelization to the farmers. And so definitely concluding this entire presentation, the Atmanirbhar Bharat and Atmanirbhar Krishi, they are interdependent, because as you know, if it is economy is banned today, it's because of the Krishi. It is because of the Krishi. If you see the agri growth today, it's outpacing other growth, other sectors, all three sector growth. Agri sector is really moving ahead very fast. And certainly, we would like to see the farmers turning into an entrepreneur in India. So it will improve his income because we are trying our best definitely to ensure once he becomes the entrepreneur, and all these schemes will help him to become the entrepreneur, then income generation, income accrual will happen to him much faster than what he used to do. And certainly we have we have a very good objective of achieving like doubling of farmers' income with us. We are working towards it, and it is definitely, since as I've said in the very first slides, that the entire everything is right for India. So we are working towards making India the food basket of the world, certainly, because we have a kind of target for us, doubling of the export by 2022. So certainly it will be there. And digital ecosystem we are bringing. So it is basically like digital India's own produce which will be coming, Make in India's own produce which will be coming. So there will be kind of brand, the export that we are working towards is that in abroad also they will be looking for the made in India produce in agriculture, like if it is a mango, Alfonso mango, let it be so it be. The Alfonso mango has to be much popular than the Mexican mango or the Dasari mango. So it will be known by that. So we are looking forward to that. The Atmanirbhar Krisi will be leading the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and Atmanirbhar Bharat will be getting from the Atmanirbhar Basin, and it will be like Jai Jawan and Jai Kisan once again. Thank you very much, all of you. So this one I end my. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. मैं सिमी मैम से पूछ करूंगा कि क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, sir. This was like extremely detailed. A lot of new information came in, lot of stuff that we were absolutely not aware of. In particular, like the thrust areas and how we should be kind of, going about focusing on a lot of, we've been focused on schemes, but I think a lot of the background work was totally not known to us. So this was really enlightening and much more beyond, I think, what we expected. So I think all of us are going to go back and kind of, listen to the recording a couple of times to be able to assess all that you have actually told us. But I have been kind of receiving a few questions which I think have been coming to the top of the mind. So I will, if you allow me,
सर पीपीटी क्लोज कर दीजिए आपका.
Hello.
Soin sir.
Sorry. One second. One second. How do I do it?
Just that bottom arrow where you say share content, just click one.
Now it's done. Okay.
We are still able to see your screen.
Okay. One second.
It's taking us.
One second.
No worries, sir. So in the meantime, ask anybody else who has some more questions after listening to sir, please do kind of use the chat window. If the time allows, we definitely will be taking those questions up.
Are you able to see me? I'm not able to see it.
Yes, sir. We're still seeing your screen.
Okay. One second. I'll just start.
Maybe if you close the window, I don't know. The risk of losing.
सर आपके टॉप में शेयर क्वेश्चन रहेगा. Actually, can you please ask? सिमी जी आप शुरू रखिए.
हाँ जी. So I think while this is happening, sir, it's just that we can see your emails right now. I would encourage you to close it. So let's kind of make use of the questions that we have. The first question that has come from Pradeep Biradarji, who is kind of in the agriculture and farmer sectors group, is that is there any geographical restriction in promoting the FPOs. You mentioned somewhere that 15% of FPOs have to come from aspirational districts. But is there kind of a fixed ratio, or like maybe a land to or agricultural produce to particular kind of ratio that has been used to say that these many FPOs per state?
So, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Pradeep, for your question. Nice question, very nice question. Like in my presentation, I said talked about produce cluster. Produce cluster is the base for forming the FPOs. When I spoke about the aspirational district, that is special drive with aspirational district in every block, one at least one FPO. The produce cluster, but other than the aspirational districts also, the other areas I spoke about 300, there will be FPOs with the minimum 300 members, and in India, Northeast Asia, it is 100. They will be able to get the avail the benefits under this. If you have to look at it, we have not put a kind of restriction on the area. Only thing is that the produce clusters will be there. If you look at Arunachal, Topaz so the density in Arunachal is so low, Topaz that it will not, I mean, it will not be able to get a kind of cluster out there. It's in the bottom, I mean, almost the northern part of Arunachal. So if you look at the Rahul and Dekhi in Himachal, it will be very difficult to come out with that produce clusters which is justified. So, but then definitely when the snow melts in Rahul and Spiti, so there can be certain for 6 months there can be a produce cluster. So where it is justified, you'll go for the produce clusters. So this 10,000 FPOs are based on the produce cluster concept. Only restriction is in terms of the number of members depending on whether it is a plain area or it is a hilly or northeast area. Special drive is for the tribal area, and there is a kind of number we have set in for the aspirational district, that is 1500. While we have not set in a number for the tribal districts, we are now working with the Tribal Affairs Ministry. We are working on for 500 clusters in tribal notified tribal areas to bring up this thing. Right now, we are working with them. We'll be growing that into number. So there is no area geographical area restrictions as you see. It's a produce area. Like we are also looking at, it is not one commodity, it is a multiple. So if we are able to justify that baseline survey which will be done by the CBBO, so that will bring out the produce cluster very clearly. So that is why it is not the area, there is no restrictions on the geographical area where it will be there, but it is a justification of the produce number of members, because farmer producer organization, as the number signifies, as the name signifies, it is a farmers produce based on which the organization is made. It is not based on the land or the area. It is the produce. So it is the multiple product based which is there, which actually makes them survival, sustainable. So that is the one. So that is why the number of 300 and 100 has been worked out based on that around the produce cluster in plain area of the hilly area, the northeast. That's it. Thank you. If you think that it can be done in the when Tripura, any number of numbers, that we so it be. You can definitely do it if it is in Mizoram, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh. I'm talking about the difficult terrains. Wherever it is produced, maybe here in the plain area, within a block, one produce cluster will be justified. But in Nagaland, maybe one district will be justified for one cluster. So that's the only kind of thing which will be having it for justification. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for explaining that, and does kind of make sense now that you've explained it so well. So the next question is from Mr. Keshav Kumar Vashne, and he's talking about marginal farmers. His question to you is that marginal farmers suffer the most because of any kind of a natural calamity, and insurance claims are also very tedious to get. So what is what kind of a scheme is the marginal farmers, and is there a dedicated portal or an app to kind of like, or plans to actually kind of make that so that the ease of getting the insurance claims is kind of like the pain kind of goes away?
Of course, currently, thank you, Kesavji. Currently, we have the National Fasal Bima Yojana, which provides the kind of insurance in the agriculture sector to the farmers directly in case of the contingency. So that is available in the net already. So even the marginal farmers are definitely in there and they're eligible for it and they're using it, marginal farmers. So if you are talking about this marginal or even the small farmers, they are already there having this insurance. But beyond this, it is not just the insurance for the calamity only. So that the other things are that the credit also, credit facilities also we are focusing. Now, if you look at it, this credit facilities are also being propped up very clearly. And third is that aggregation of this marginal farmer to the Fpos grouping. So what will happen is when they form this small and marginal farmer form a Fpo of 300 members, so that becomes a strength. So together they'll get access to not only all the facilities, input, credit, technology. So the production, harvesting and post-harvest, that gets easy for them. And now that the trade and commerce ordinance has come, the market has been liberalized, this FPO can sell it easily, they can buy it easily as a group, and they can put up this electronic trading platform that I spoke about under this, they can put up a trading platform by themselves also. So that means now this ecosystem has been opened up for this small and marginal farmers. It is a host of facilities which are there. So that will help them really now make them to be entrepreneur. That I was concluding in my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That also kind of, Varshnaji, does that answer your question? Is there anything else that you need from sir?
Thank you.
Looks like yeah, okay. Looks like Varshnaji is muted. So with that, sir, if you permit, I will go on to another question, which is again on FPOs. I think a lot of questions on FPOs today are going to come your way. So you did mention in your presentation that, you know, like every FPO will be kind of handheld for about 5 years. So we wanted to find out, you know, like how will that happen? Who are these people, and how does a common man or, you know, somebody who's intending to start an FPO get to know about this handholding process and how to kind of, you know, reach out to them?
Thank you, Suniji. It's a very nice question. And by 2023-24. This year, I am actually now working in my drawing board is almost 1800 FPO. I am working with various states and various agencies. It will be coming up in different states. We'll be starting to work very soon. It will be the first year we're starting it. And if I'm able to succeed, I'll complete this 10,000 even much before this 23-24. I'll try my best because then I can go for more even beyond that. So that is beyond the year. So when we are identifying, the basis is the produce cluster. The identification of produce clusters are now happening district by district, state by state. We are doing that with our expert agencies, and we are taking the help of this district level monitoring committee, DMC, that I said, the district collector and the CO Jila Parishad may be there, depending on the state, whatever, whoever they're directing to chair, with experts from different line departments in that district, and also from the banking institutions, NABARD, all this KVK. KVK is one, they know the produce clusters very well. This KVK, so obviously this district level committee, they will be helping us to identify the produce cluster. And once they identify, once we allocate this produce cluster, the professional agency CBPO, that I said, then we are in the process of engagement through the implementing agency. So this professional agency with 5 types of experts, so they will be doing a baseline survey. So that baseline survey will give us the idea as to what is the size of that produce cluster, I mean area, geographical area, where this particular produce can be taken up for this group of produce can be taken up for FPO formation. What are the possible number of members, which are the villages which will be covered, and what is the gap which is to be filled up, market gap and the infrastructure gap. So that survey will help us to get it in the first hand. So once it is there, so then the aggregation will be done by the CBPO. They'll be going from those villages identified in the produce clusters. They'll be going from door to door to talk to these members, to get these members aggregated onto this FPO. So that means there is this agency will be doing it the entire year. They'll be doing it entirely the survey and then aggregation process door to door, and then they'll be bringing them as a kind of organizational manner, organize their meeting, give them the preliminary training, organize their equity, members equity, then get the credit equity grant from us, then register them in with the either company or this thing what the members decide, and then prepare a business plan, get a credit guarantee facility, develop the assets, market linkage. All this will be done with those members by this for 5 years by that CBBO. So CBBO will be working with these members for 5 years entirely from the beginning, so for to make them sustainable. So that means from the survey they'll be identifying the villages, going from this thing village and door to door, and they'll be doing it. So it's a Predis cluster based FPO that we are going to form. Thank you. So, so obviously, so that will of course identification of villages, then house, kind of this thing. So that will happen now. So there will be bringing.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much again. So I think that was also quite enlightening. I have, like 3 or 4 questions that have kind of, come together and they're kind of interrelated with each other. So I'll kind of, try and combine them together. So the first question, and these are all about, the Dairy Entrepreneurship Development Scheme, the DEDS scheme. So the first question that has come is that, can a first-time entrepreneur who has no income tax return apply for such schemes? Secondly, I believe this person tried to kind of, go to an agency and find out, and was told that, the circular for DDS 2020 has not yet been released. So could you kind of, help us over there to find out if it hasn't reached the grassroots level, or is it that, it hasn't been circulated as yet? It's awaiting certain sign-offs. The third question related to it is that, the banks expect some kind of a project proposal to be kind of sent or created. And is there a template or is there any kind of a help that anybody can provide so that the common man actually is able to write those proposals and submit it so that he can avail of that scheme?
Actually, madam, I'm not handling this entrepreneurship development scheme. Is it for that animal husbandry department that you are talking about?
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Animal husbandry department. I'll have to talk to them because they are not handling this scheme. So particularly like for this, as I understand, we have a general idea. So this scheme particularly, there are bank linked projects also there for infrastructure development, like in the dairy sector and poultry and even goatry and all the sectors it's there. So that is bank link, but then definitely for any bank project, like we have a similar project in the agriculture sector, agriculture and horticulture sector, where the bank generally look for a kind of project concept, DPR. So DPR, the detailed project report. So where they'll be having the project descriptions, project components, the financing component, the kind of the profitability component, everything will be looked into in that DPR. So they have a set pattern. Every bank has a set pattern for that. So any credit link, because this animal husbandry also follows the credit link project. So that is where for any infrastructure will have a majorly credit link. So that DPR, every bank will have that format. So that bank format, the entrepreneur has to have that, but more or less every bank will have similar format. So only decision can be different. So the DPR is to be prepared and submitted to the bank. They'll do the appraisal, and once appraisal is over and they're satisfied with that, then the loan is being sanctioned in that. And the scheme benefit, that is the subsidy, will be linked to that. That is generally NABARD driven in the schemes. So the NABARD will be releasing that subsidy to the bank, which you have seen in our agriculture sector particularly.
Yes, so thank you so much. There was one more very small question that was kind of related with this, but I forgot to ask that. And that was that, can a single farmer actually, or an entrepreneur actually apply for both animal and its, like if he's setting up a dairy farm, for example, so can he apply for both, a loan for both animals as well as for the machinery that is needed? Or does it have to be purely segregated?
In fact, that is again for the animal husbandry department, not our department. But if you understand their scheme, so for this thing, they have a scheme for financing of the animal, which is separate from the infrastructure project scheme. Animal, excepting for the cattle, I think in other sectors they have that the scheme is applicable for buying the animal for your goat, the poultry, etc. So that is there. And for the infrastructure scheme, that's a different. Basically, it's a credit link back index scheme. They have that, like ours. So, which is different. I've not seen whether in agriculture, at least in my sector, we have segregate scheme. I've not seen both these together. So, I'll have to find out from them whether it is possible also for them. But I don't know whether they have that combined scheme. Generally, we keep it together. I mean, separately on that.
Sure, sir. Sure. So I have another question. If the time allows, I think we are at 4:30. Ashutoshi, we can ask a few questions, right?
Yeah, right. You can ask.
Yeah. Okay, so we have yet another question from Pradeep Biradarji, and this time what he's asking is that you had mentioned that essential oil production is one of the focus areas, and FPO should be kind of working towards that. So, such kind of, like FPOs, if we look at it from the entire value chain, right from, starting till the end, it does kind of, fall in the domain of MSMEs also. So, for a person who wants to kind of work from one end to the chain to the other, how do we kind of, collaborate? So, this becomes like a confusion point and also a fracture point in the process that there's one particular policy or one particular scheme which is talking about setting up of FPOs, and then the value change kind of happens, and somewhere you transition to the MSME sector where there is another scheme which is equally applicable. So how do we navigate this complexity? How do we kind of work this out?
That's a very nice question for FPO. Nice question, in fact. If you look at our FPO scheme 10,000, it is a kind of self-sufficient scheme, first of all. I mean, FPO don't have to look beyond this because they have not only the hand-holding, business plan, asset building. Asset building will help them to create the value chain very clearly. From production, as I was showing that production infrastructure, harvesting infrastructure, and post-production infrastructure, they are all written in my slide. So that means in the chain, production chain, and the harvest chain and the supply chain. So the entire infrastructure can be 2 crore. That is why we are giving a credit guarantee up to 2 crore. And the equity base is being strengthened because up to 15 lakh we are providing, and if they have a 15 lakh, we provide 15 lakh. So 30 lakh equity base, and definitely 2 crore minimum credit. I mean, the maximum credit facility 2 crore guarantee we are giving. So with that, they'll be able to form a kind of supply chain which is required for them. In fact, one good point is that in addition to this, that we are giving equity grant and credit guarantee for business plan and asset building, these FPOs are getting now access under our scheme. We have enabled them to get access from other schemes also, from other ministries, not only our ministry, but other ministries. Recently, you must be knowing that food processing and industries ministry, they have come up with a kind of Prime Minister's scheme, and that's a scheme called PM. That is a that's a micro enterprise. Prime Minister's scheme on micro enterprise. That is basically micro enterprise in the food sector, food processing sector has to be grown in the rural areas, because they have a big processing industry in the urban, semi-urban area. But whereas the production is at the farm gate, there is a gap between the farm gate and the big processing industry. So this void can be filled up by the MSME and small cottage industries in the rural sector through this micro. So there the FPOs have been factored as the major player to bring up this micro food enterprise. So they have this subsidy, they have the credit guarantee, they have in their scheme of the Ministry of Food Processing. So they'll definitely get access in that. In my scheme, even I have an agriculture market infrastructure scheme where they'll get access into this. Even PM, even any scheme you talk about, they'll be getting. Like for example, if you are talking about the MSME ministry, you have a credit guarantee for trust fund for the MSME sector. So credit guarantee, if you are going to the bank, they can either take it a credit guarantee from there, but we are providing credit guarantee up to 2 crore. Whatever is provided by the MSME Ministry's credit guarantee trust fund, we are providing same 2 crore with a lesser interest rate. Interest rate will be much less in this case. So why should the FPO go to the MSME? Because the banking interest rates are 12% onward. In our case, we are linking it to the agriculture infrastructure fund where the interest rate will be much less. and then the credit guarantee will be there. So FPOs will be much benefited out of this. So it is no, if they want, they can go, but rather it will be better that they get the benefits here in the ministry, which are, it is a wholesome scheme. And then the other schemes, they have to get benefit from various schemes. Like, as I have said, Minister of Food Processing, PM Sampada Yojana, then micro enterprise, food enterprise are the same. In our case also, there are various like oil seed, we have got a lot of facilities we are giving. They can, and the respective schemes, they can adjust. So definitely, if you have to look at oil seed sector, you said we need to really grow that. Why I said it, because oil seed, we need to really improve the productivity in the oil sector and have a good produce. In pulses, we are #1 in the world, but oilseed we need to really grow. So that is why now we are bringing up the FPO into this sector, motivate them so that this sector gets boost, productivity will improve, the volume will increase. It will be a win-win situation for this, and they'll be getting all benefits for this entire value chain, credit guarantee, everything. The business plan will be done by the CBPOs. So the FPOs will be now be driving this, can drive this oilseed sector very clearly. Not just oil seed, it is just one example. There can be any other sector. So that is what I'm starting with the oil seed also and organic also, because organic will have a good potential outside India. They can be exported also in Indian market. Oil seed is for Indian consumption. We are trying to do that. That sector where the gap we are trying to fill it out.
Thank you, sir. I think those were things that, again, we did not know of. And it seems that, all the schemes have been really kind of, thought of well. Maybe in the past, we were not aware that, these are comprehensive and all facilities are there within the same ministry. So that kind of, helps us a lot. I am now going to, take up the next question. We have about, I would say 10, 15 minutes left. So the next question, Mr. Rohan Mahajanji, if you are able to hear us, could you please ask your question? Rohanji?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, so
Good afternoon.
सवाल थे, please sir से पूछ लीजिए directly.
Sir, so I have this question that given so many benefits, like how are we planning to enhance the quality of the produce so that we can convert them into an export quality product and we can look for export opportunities as well, be it the dairy products or be it the farmers produce?
That's a Mohanji, बहुत बढ़िया question है. Very nice question. Because India
Thank you,
needs
sir.
to improve on quality. India needs to improve on quality in the agriculture produce. It's very, very important. If you have to go global, definitely, whether it is dairy or it is any other sector. One is that how does a farmer get to really produce which is quality? One is that gets access to quality input first. That's very important criteria for this. So that's one area. Second is the production practices that he must know. At what time to, suppose it's a horticulture produce, what time to, what kind of seed he has to do, the quality seed, what time he has to apply the fertilizer, what kind of pesticides he has to do at what time. He has to have that knowledge. Somebody has to help him in the knowledge. Then at the end of this, when he's producing any produce, if he has got a good market, then he's motivated to produce more of this quality rather than just generic produce. So market has to be also there to give him the kind of remunerative prices. So that is why what has been attempted here is that and then he has to have the finance to drive this. It's a threefold approach. One is the legal ecosystem which has been opened up. That is basically the trade and commerce ordinance, which is liberalizing the market, getting more buyers in the competitive thing for a quality produce. So there'll be more of the buyers will now be competing with the farmer to buy his produce. So the one is that. The second is the FPO scheme will now help to come together on an aggregated platform. So it is a force to reckon with, because single farmer will not have been able to get the access to all this, whether it is input, technology, credit, finance, as much as this group can get it, because they are not only being held, but they are a group. Their bargaining power is coming up. So that scheme will help them to come forward. Third is, if they want the kind of support there's a contract farming agreement, is they can enter into the product, industry, export, processing, big retailers, they can enter into. So what will happen is these big retailers can give them a kind of extension facilities. By extension means they'll be giving the knowledge about the production. They'll be getting all the service providers to give them that. They'll get the access of the good input. They'll get the access of the good credit. So that means if they're entering into contract farming, they're getting all this right kind of knowledge at the right time and the right access to the input and other things, technology, so that they are able to produce the right quality. But if they are not even going through this contract farming act, that's an ordinance that I spoke about. If they are even as FPO, they are doing it, then as a FPO already, so this CBPO, they are helping them even at the production stage. The CBPO, the 5 experts I spoke about, one of the expert of the CBPO will be the crop husbandry. Will be talking about the production practices, type of input, type of fertilizer, type of when to irrigate, how to irrigate. All those he'll be giving them the knowledge and doing the handholding at that production stage. Then second is he's doing a business plan, preparing a business. He's also developing an asset for them so that the value addition processing can happen, so that marketing becomes easier. Not only the bargaining part, the value added and processed item, like if he's cleaning it, grading it, packaging it, that's a value addition I'm talking about. At the farm gate, the prices improve substantially, very substantially. So that will come through the business plan. Then the market linkages, which are the companies to which they'll be selling, whether they'll be selling to APMC certain percentage they'll be selling to XYZ industry, certain percentage they'll be selling it to the exporter. So those will be the business plan, which will be based on the kind of, they'll be preparing a business plan based on the potentiality of that produce cluster, based on the infrastructure they have, all this. So that means we are trying to help them in the production. We're trying to help them financially strong to get access to everything. So reducing the cost of production, then improving the harvesting practices, because harvesting practices are very, very important. The shelf life also depends on that what stage of the crop you are harvesting it. So the shelf life can be elongated. So that means they are going to get. And second is value additions, then market linkage. So this is going to motivate our farmers so that they are going to definitely get a better produce, better market price. More the market price, better the motivation to produce much better quality. And will also be looking towards export market, because the price enhances a processing linkage, which will also enhance the price. So definitely this ecosystem has been created to ensure that the farmers go for a quality produce. So that is why thank you Mohanji, because Amul, if they could, it is a reflection of how the FPOs, it's a kind of, they have created a cooperative, a kind of FPO. You know why today Amul system is a kind of case study in Harvard, because they have created a grouping, got access to everything, produce the quality is being measured, and assaying is being done, market linkage is assured. So branding is superb. Branding also will be helped in this case. So definitely Amul is a success story which is there because of the aggregation. If I have to turn this table around, I talk about the Dabawala of the Mumbai, because आपके organization Mumbai में भी start हुआ है. दवावाला को भी थोड़ा सा 360 डिग्री कर देंगे तो वही आइडिया आएगा. वो भी हार्वर्ड का केस स्टडी है. Very clearly, it is all in India. These are all made in India. The same idea has been taken. Instead of learning it from Harvard, we are learning it from our own people here and putting them together in a Make in India platform, so that our farmers are encouraged to produce more and more quality food. Thank you, Mohanji.
So much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Can I add something, sir?
Sure.
Sir, can't we come up, or maybe I don't know that we have or not, but can you clear my query that can't we come up with a few guidelines of how what needs, what do we have, what we should have in the product to make it an export quality product? Can't government state some guidelines for that product? Like you are talking about the Amul case study. जैसे अमूल केस स्टडी के बारे में हम बात करें तो क्या अमूल की केस स्टडी के बेसिस पे कुछ गाइडलाइंस बन सकती हैं जिसपे एफपीओस को ये पता चल सके, सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स को ये पता चल सके कि वो अपने प्रोडक्ट को इस तरीके से डिजाइन करें कि वो एक एक्सपोर्ट क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट बन सके? एंड फॉर दैट वी कैन हैव सैम्पलिंग रूम्स वेयर वी कैन सबमिट आवर सैंपल्स टू द गवर्नमेंट एंड दे कैन चेक इट एंड मेक आवर प्रोडक्ट एन एक्सपोर्ट क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट.
at the same
Thank you.
time?
It's a very good question, fantastic question. In fact, we need to have that, and certainly, last week I was having a brainstorming with this Bird Lucknow, because we are now setting up the courses for our FPOs. First level training is by CBBO, where they'll be talking about the quality, how to improve the quality, the production practices, the good agricultural practices. But then beyond that, the training program that we are creating for FPOs, not only organizational management, compliance, agriculture production, good agricultural practices, the processing, value additions, we'll be having courses for export possibility from the FPO. Then processing possibility, how they'll be doing. There we'll be talking about the quality. In fact, we have told them to work with this while bringing up these courses, because we'll be having also e-learning modules apart from the classroom things. We have asked them to work with these agriculture universities. We have nearly 100 plus 114 agriculture universities in India, institutions. So they'll be working with that to bring up these packages for the FPOs so that they know around the commodities. So when they'll be looking up, somebody can, of course, overnight it cannot be done. They have agreed to do it. It will take time. But certainly that's a good suggestion. I'll again convey to them. We have already discussed it out. So, like, for example, if we have to export export suppose the onion from Nasik. What's the kind of onion which is required in Middle East? What's the kind of onion which is required in Asian region? What's the kind of onion which is required in the Europe? Because Indian diaspora is there in almost everywhere. So that it has to meet the flavor and that continent very clearly. So those things will have to be inbuilt in the training program. So that is why this Bird has agreed to come up with the training modules, which will be not only making them self-sufficient, also I have already suggested about the export and processing. I'll certainly talk to them about this building up this package on the quality, particularly what you have suggested. It's a very good suggestion. I'll talk to them again how to really improve the export. So quality will be one of the area where the training modules will be there, self-learning modules will be there to help the farmers to take it forward by themselves. Even otherwise, even without the CBPOs.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We have hardly 5 minutes, so I'm going to be asking you to kind of give very brief answers for the next two questions. Both of them are very interesting questions. The first question is from Mr. Rajan, who's kind of also a state coordinator. And his question is that, since he has a network of people who are kind of interested, and ICANN is a initiative that is, fully driven by the citizens. So how can ICANN volunteers join the district level committee and help them to identify these clusters and FPPs? Is there any kind of a mechanism in place, or what is your guidance around that, sir?
In fact, the district level committee, the district collector even can co-opt the experts. There's a provision in that. The district level committee, the CO, Jila Parishad, the district collector who is chairing that, they can co-opt the experts. So if you have the expertise in that area, certainly on areas both in terms of produce, in terms of any particular knowledge base for the FPO, and you can contribute if you strongly. So that's very good, welcome, and then you can definitely contact them, and which are the districts where you have that, where you can do that. So certainly you can contact that district level committee chairman. So certainly they will open, and NABARD, the district manager, DDMs of NABARD, they are the convener of that committee. So you can give your suggestions to the DDMs and you can give it to the district collector wherever you are there. Maybe NABARD is much more accessible, DDMs. You can definitely contact them in that and do that.
Kulbhushan Yadav is there. Mr. Kulbhushan Yadav, do you want to kind of ask the question to sir yourself, or should I do that?
Whichever way you like.
No, so please go.
Okay, sir, pranam.
Pranam.
Sir, PO by name Amrok Earth Jaiv Urja Farmer Producer Company in Jhansi, and around more than 3-4 villages to organic farming. But all of a sudden, if you convert from chemical to organic, it takes a lot of time to increase the production. So there are farmers who do panic selling, and wanted to get back to the chemical farming once again because the production is little low. So is there any way we can retain them? This is my first question. The second question is, like if you can answer this question, I'll ask the rest of the other question later on.
So definitely, you have done a good job by initiating this FPO in organic farming. It takes at least under our skin 3 years to convert from chemical to organic. It's a long process that you have said. So question is that when you produce it, you should have the access to right input, right kind of seeds, right kind of biofertilizer, and then the practices. Now, more than that is a question of market establishment, because organic produce has a good market, but question is that now it is in developing stage. A lot of running around has to be done to establish that market linkage for your farmers. It may so happen that the size of your FPO may be small for aggregation and value addition, processing, grading, packaging, branding. But if you are able to grow this FPO, number one, that is one way, and then link it to the major like organic farming, organic produce we looked into. Europe has an excellent market. Europe, USA, Canada, Japan. These are all more than the Gulf and the Asian region. These are the countries who have very high price demand is there for this organic produce. The question is how to link them. You know, I was very surprised as recently before the lockdown, I was doing a kind of seminar in Odisha. There are these small entrepreneurs who have come. Since you are in Jhansi, you may be knowing Odisha. There is this सियाली खली. खली, that is a पत्ता जिसमें प्लेट बनाते हैं खाने के लिए. That they call it locally सियाली खली पत्ता. पत्ता जो deep they dry it and then make the paper plate and paper cups. And in the feast and
पत्तल कहते हैं यहाँ लोकल भाषा में पत्तल कहते हैं उसको.
हाँ कहते हैं. There is a particular variety of leaf which gives a fragrance. सियाली. There are other types of leaves also. So they are making a case study presentation. I was in the panel. I was very surprised because in the tribal area, they are doing the sun drying, preparing that khali, and exporting it to European Union, not in India. I mean, from a very remote area in Odisha, they are remote, yeah, and they are telling me beautiful calculation they gave. It was actually a learning round for. I became a student for them. Not, I mean, instead of giving a lecture, I started learning it. They said here we get 1 rupee. In the local in Odisha, we get 1 rupee for one plate. So when we sell it to Europe, we get €1 per plate. That's the kind of magnification they get it in that Siali Khadi Patta. My total mind and brain went haywire. And they're saying that they are not very well educated and very highly educated people. But they have turned it around by themselves, linking it to the international organizations and doing what the international organization wants, sun drying properly, rightly, without any spot or anything, beautifully uniformly dried, and then quality control. So those things, packaging, branding, and supply chain linkage, uninterrupted, how it will reach. So they have taken care of it. It was driven by one entrepreneur in that area, and he has brought them together, and they have done it. And if it has to be seen, it is then I connected it myself to the Amul story. It started with a small story and became a big story. So it is how you connect to the market. What is the market today? We have to orient our production to the market. Entire my presentation was that if you are able to orient everything to the market, the quality automatically will improve because you are taking care of the quality, because you are taking care of the anticipation of the market demand. And then you are supplying as well. If you are supplying a niche area, organic niche product to European market, you are able to get up the volume. If you are not able to do it by yourself with one FPO, I'll request you to come up with different FPOs and federate them. Federate the FPOs, you'll be able to get a credit guarantee from our facility. The federated FPO also will get a credit guarantee from our system. You'll get a kind of holding support, knowledge support from the NPMA. Do a federation of this thing. in that Jhansi and other neighboring districts within the states, and then join together for the same produce, do the processing, because the produce volume will increase, then it is possible to export it. Find out the market prospecting, because there are definitely, it is possible to do the prospecting of the market to this, whether to USA, Canada, and how they can be exported. So those things you'll have to really do that's the entrepreneurial ability you'll have to put in out there. Thank you.
Can I add to this? Hello.
Sure, Jayavardhan.
No, it's Aman speaking. I just wanted to share my experience with brother from Jhansi. So actually, I started working in the Palghar district of Maharashtra, which is a tribal. In 2003, we started for the organic farming spreading among the tribals. Not much response initially. Step by step, we have grown, and now there are 2,500 farmers fully producing organic. But of course, we have put up the supply chain and got a market in Mumbai. So that is one case we have done. But since last 2 years, we again have started the same project in Satara district, where the farmers are like here people are like more entrepreneur, so they cannot immediately shift from chemical to organic. So what we have done here is slowly we have introduced the organic farming practices. Now there are some farmers who have reached up to 50%, not reducing their produce. Some have reached up to 75% organic practices. So like that, they have maintained, their incomes, and slowly we are turning them into the fully organic. So it also can be, adopted in Jhansi, where the drastic down is there in the incomes. Farmers get disappointed. So we can slowly, from chemical to organic, and it is possible. And we have done it. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. I think big applause from me. Because we have done two different experiments, Palghar and Satara. There are two different types, as I learned from you. The Satara, who are more enterprising, we are converting them slowly, because you cannot just immediately convert everything to all the land to organic. So it has this gradual transition, while ensuring that it has a market. You really did it in Palghar, where Mumbai market you could get it, and find out what Mumbaikar wants. They want, Mumbaikar want, and you have been able to supply. So that's a good this thing. So definitely it is, market has to be in this thing, and how you are transiting the entire phase, because in organic, transition is a major process, stage, which you'll have to see how you'll have to do it. The entire, if you do it, if you are like, and if it is contiguous land or it is spread out land, how exactly you are doing and how much land you are doing it. Because if you are doing a particular patch of land and the side by it is all general chemical this thing, so there is a possibility of problem out there. So you'll have to see how you are approaching that conversion to this organic process. So thank you very much for your Satara experiment. It can be a case study for our entire Lucknow. I'll invite you. What's your name? You said you can give me the contact number. So I'll give you
Yeah, my name is Amit. Yeah, my name is Amit Sawan, and actually we are working here through NGO. Yeah, I'll definitely share my number. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Certainly, you are based in Delhi or you are in Jhansi, you said?
Sorry?
You are based where?
I'm based in Satara.
Satara. Okay. Right.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Right. Thank you. Well, sometimes when our training gets going, we'll have you there. You just, I'll request Simi Madam or the Ashutosh ji to send me the contact details.
Definitely, sir. We will. We definitely
Yeah.
will be, and I'm sure we'll be delighted to share.
Actually, we are experimenting here with around 350 farmers now, and the same farmers we are getting into FBO. The food farmers producing the same farmers who are trying to become organic and all this.
Very good. Well done. Definitely. Thank you.
With that, sir, I think though questions are there, and I think we could kind of spend another couple of hours just kind of debating and learning from you. But with the paucity of time, I think we'll have to stop the question and answers over here. If there are any other questions, we'll kind of just mail them across to you and take your inputs. So with that, I hand this over to Ashutosh ji. Ashutosh ji, over to you.
थैंक यू सो मच सर. मैं अजय जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि आई का थीम सॉन्ग एक बार अगर प्ले करें, जो कि आई कैन अजय जी। हम देख नहीं पा रहे हैं।
मुश्किल है आन पड़ी,
स्क्रीन विजिबल नहीं
कैसी कठिन घड़ी, सहमी सहमी जिंदगी, बिखरी हुई बंदगी, मानवता है पुकार, दिखाए हम दरिया दिली, I can, you can, we can, India can, I can, you can, we can, India can. हम सब मिल जाए तो, मिलकर हाथ बटाए तो, टल जाएगी ये घड़ी, झूमेगी फिर से खुशी, आशा टूटे नहीं, हौसला रूठे नहीं, साथ ये छूटे नहीं, मंजिल दूर नहीं, मानवता है पुकार रही, दिखाए हम दरिया दिली, I can, you can, we can, India can, I can, you can, we can, India can.
थैंक यू सो मच। मैं अब आई कैन मध्य प्रदेश के स्टेट कोऑर्डिनेटर श्री जयवर्धन जोशी जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो वोट ऑफ थैंक्स प्रस्तुत करें।
Hello, am I audible?
यस।
First of all, I would like to thank Shri Prashant Kumar ji for sparing time for this training session. Sir, this was a training session which was intended to guide selected individuals from the society ताकि वो समाज के बीच जाएं और सरकार की जो कल्याणकारी योजनाएं हैं उनका प्रचार प्रसार करें। सर, हम सब जानते हैं कि किसी भी योजना की सफलता इस बात पर निर्भर करती है कि उसका प्रचार प्रसार कितना होता है, उसकी आउटरीच कितनी होती है जनता तक, और आई कैन प्रेरक जो हमारे हैं उनका मुख्य लक्ष्य यही है। सर, हमारे राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी जी ने कहा था कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत की शुरुआत आत्मनिर्भर गांव से होगी। प्रेजेंटेशन के बाद निश्चित रूप से मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि आत्मनिर्भर ग्राम की शुरुआत निश्चित ही एफपीओस के माध्यम से होगी। तो हम सब अभी समाज में जाएंगे और एफपीओस को कैसे आगे बढ़ाया जा सकता है, कैसे नए एफपीओस बनाए जा सकते हैं, उनकी भागीदारी बढ़ाई जा सकती है, इस दिशा में काम करेंगे। इस सेशन की सर एक और अच्छी बात ये रही कि हमें अनेक प्रश्नों के माध्यम से भी हमें कुछ प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस मिले। जैसे आदरणीय प्रदीप जी ने प्रश्न पूछे थे, रोहन जी ने पूछे थे, कुलभूषण जी ने पूछे थे, अमित चौहान जी ने पूछे थे। उन्होंने अपने प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर करे जिसके माध्यम से हमें ऑन ग्राउंड क्या हो रहा है ये भी हमें पता चला। तो सर, मैं पुनः आपका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आपके साथ साथ आई कैन कोर टीम के जो भी सदस्य इस कॉल में जुड़े हैं उनका भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं, और जो हमारे प्रेरक, जो हमारी रीढ़ की हड्डी है, उनका भी मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि आप इस सेशन में जुड़े और हम निश्चित ही समाज में एक सकारात्मक बदलाव ला पाए। इसी दिशा में हम सब कार्य करेंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
थैंक यू जयवर्धन जी, थैंक यू सिमी जी, थैंक यू आशुतोष जी, थैंक यू उमेश जी, थैंक ऑल ऑफ यू।
थैंक यू सर। सर, हम एक वंदे मातरम के साथ समापन करेंगे। अजय जी, वंदे मातरम की करें। आप सभी लोग खड़े हो जाएंगे अपनी
वंदे मातरम, सुजलाम सुफलाम मलयज शीतलाम, शस्य श्यामलाम मातरम, वंदे मातरम, शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनीं, पुण्यकुसुमित द्रुमदल शोभिनीं, सुहासिनीं सुमधुर भाषिणीं, सुखदां वरदां मातरम्। वन्दे मातरम्।
भारत माता की
Jai. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you once again for giving this wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank you all of you.
Thank you, sir.